Good morning. Today my outfit of the day is from Fabletics. It is a onesie. It has a flare leg. It was $19, y'all. I don't know if you are on social media or not, but as far as like Facebook, but they advertise all the time for $19 for the onesie. So whenever they do that, you gotta hop on it. And like I said, sign in, make sure you cancel after you get your order, and then sign back in whenever you want to buy again. That's how I do it. Today I'm working on back and biceps. It is very light today, guys. It's nothing major, just real simple pull exercises. So, you know, hopefully this does help you motivate you to get up and move around. I did do treadmill before I did this. Like I said, I do it in a really dark room, and you can't really see me, so that's why I don't record. Now, I'm also doing this in the dark, so I hope it's not too dark, and I hope that light in the background. There really was no angle that I could put the camera out. I left all my recording devices at home, so I plus also use the ledge of the window, or it's not a window, but the cage window thing. So yeah, hopefully this works out for you. I do apologize. I mean, you get the point though. You get what I'm doing. You pretty much get the form and stuff like that. You don't need to see like my facial expressions or anything like that. But yeah, I thank you so much for watching, and I hope this motivates you to move around. Have a good day.